When working on this level of IP, you know, you're stuck. You know, there's not a lot you could do. You could do something that sort of examines the why of it, but you can't have it do something other than what it does.
Hi Zach, I'm Dave from Australia. It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's good to see you, brother.
I had a chance to see the movie last night at the premiere, of course.
Oh, fantastic.
It's wonderful.
Oh, thanks.
Loved it. It's so good. You've predominantly worked on franchise pictures in the past. You've done a few sort of what we'd call original films. What's it like to work on something like this that is entirely yours from the ground up, that has been a decades-long passion project for you?
It's cool. You know, the truth is that I think that, you know, in retrospect, when I think about it, like Army of the Dead really is the first movie where it was a true like world building experience, even though I was like kind of on a small scale.
Yeah.
And I had such a fun time doing it because I think Sucker Punch was always more of, to me, it was more of a satire on sort of the state of genre. And so it wasn't like, I wasn't really taking the world building that seriously, other than to symbolically mock what is action movies and stuff like that. So. But in my experience with Army, I really feel like I was going like, oh, this is fun, kind of mythologically building, you know, the zombie plague and how it worked and everything. And it really inspired me because I've had this idea for quite a while. So it really was the thing that inspired me to go like, you know, I should go look at Rebel Moon, because I think I'm in a really kind of good mindset to kind of really start to rip that out. And I think that was really the truth is, even though I'd had the idea for, you know, 20, maybe 30 years, it was my experience on Army that made me go like, yeah, this would be fun to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is it easier for you to work on something that doesn't have, I mean, I know you've got to appeal to the Zack Snyder fan base, which is a very passionate fan base, but it's a project that doesn't have that inbuilt fandom. Is it easier for you to work on something like that, or is there an extra pressure in trying to build that fandom behind it?
It's absolutely easier to work on something that is outside of, that doesn't have canon, you know. The truth is that when you're doing a character like Superman, for instance, you know, who I think we did a thing, we were talking about when I did Superman, that something about the Superman S is like the third most recognizable symbol on the planet Earth, other than the Christian cross and the Islamic moon, you know, like those crescent, that's it. And then Superman, you know, I think, and then McDonald's, you know, it's like this. So when working on this level of IP, you know, you're stuck, you know, there's not a lot you could do. You could do something that sort of examines the why of it, but you can't have it do something other than what it does.
Right. When you are building something like this, do you set yourself boundaries, like in-universe rules that you can't break when you're building the lore and all of that?
Absolutely. I think the mythological part of it, the part of creating the mythology starts to create those guardrails. Like, right? I don't set out to create guardrails, but the guardrails naturally get built as you say, okay, this character was born here, moved there, learned this, has this skill set, now arrives at this point in the movie, and this is their story. So they can only really do the things that they have gotten along the way. They can't suddenly invent a new power or like suddenly they're magical. Like these are things that, you know, we know that's not in the design of the character. If we want a magical character, we have to design them from like Issa or whatever, who you have to design them from the ground up. But that, by the time you go to film it, all the guardrails are there, and you sort of have this mythology. And you know, if God willing, we did more of these movies, again, we'd be building on what we've done. You know, the canon kind of naturally, like, appears and solidifies. And because actually we do have a kind of a long look, we've done the work of knowing where we would go.
Of course.
We've kind of set up all the characters to fulfill their final destinies, as well as the ones you see. I mean, the example is Rebel Moon is not in these movies. You know?
Great.
Rebel Moon is in, if we ever were able to do more movies, you discover what the Rebel
That's it,
Moon really
like
is.
Awesome. Look, as I said, movie's great, has so much potential. I wish you all the best with it. I can't wait to see what is next.
I
Been a
can't
pleasure
wait for you to
speak
see movie 2
I can't
in
wait
April.
for it. Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Cheers.